This is the X2 Pro 3.
And it's a beginner foldable drone for about $150. We have a full 3-axis gimbal and brushless motors. 20-minute flight time at a range of, they say, up to 1,200 meters. That's almost a mile. Stay tuned. We'll learn more about this beginner drone and if maybe it's the one you want. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, it's a foldable beginner drone. Now, it looks like it's almost a mini quad, and when I say mini, I mean the sub 250 gram mini, but it isn't. This thing's about 340 grams, so it does have to be registered with the FAA. Let's just get that out there. It does have brushless motors. That means it's a little more efficient, a little more powerful, and it adds a little bit more stability than pretty much any brush motor drone out there. Now, it does have a 20-minute flight time. You're not going to get 20 minutes, but 15 is pretty reasonable with this quad. It does have a 3-axis gimbal, which is nice because it's going to smooth your video footage, but I'm not super sold on the video footage itself. The video resolution is 720p. That is HD, but it's saving on your phone, not on the drone or an SD card. And that is really disappointing because anytime there's a lag between your drone here and the video feed, that's what you're recording, right? So for pictures, it's okay. And it says it's saving 4K pictures, but really they're upscaled 4K pictures. We've got a sensor on the bottom to help with stability, and you remove the battery to charge it via micro USB cable. Now let's talk about the range. They say up to 1,200 meters. That's just under a mile, but that is only the control link. The video feed back to your phone for what you're seeing, what the camera sees, they say that maxes out at 300 meters. So that's less than a quarter mile. I'm gonna say you're gonna get about half of that at 150, just over a football field. I wouldn't fly this thing outside my visual line of sight. Not that I would any drone, but this one in particular, you're gonna wanna keep it close, especially because the video is being recorded on your phone. So any distance between the phone and the drone is gonna create some glitches and some stutters, and the video feed isn't gonna look very good. The drone comes in this nice carrying case. Spot for the remote, we've got some documentation and the drone itself. Now if we take a look at the remote control, we've got the on switch right here. Right? We do have some interesting telemetry data, right? We know how far it is from home and also the height. You can put your phone right up here, up top. You can work the gimbal with this little rocker switch up here. Turn GPS on and off, take off and land headless mode. This button here, super important. When you get started, put your drone on a level surface, push this button once, it'll beep and calibrate the gyro. Then hold this button down, the lights will start flashing. That's when you start rotating it horizontally. Then the lights will flash again. You point camera down, rotate it again until that stops. It'll beep at you, and then you've calibrated the compass. Now, it is super important to calibrate this drone the first time you fly it, and if you don't, you're gonna get some really strange behavior. And actually, I got a little bit of that behavior going on where it just kind of drifted and pivoted and turned even after calibrating the compass. So, you know, this drone isn't incredibly reliable. It's very possible that I got kind of a one-off, but, you know, $150 drones in general, they're not super fantastic. The best drone that you can get for under $200 is probably the Flyhall FX1. That's actually made by MJX. It's the Bug 16 Pro. I really like that drone for beginners. So if you're thinking about getting a drone and your budget is under $200, that's the one I'd look at. There's a link for that drone in the description down below if you want to watch that and see how that compares. But when you compare the video quality on that versus this, you're really gonna go that way, I'm pretty darn sure. So the other buttons on the controller, this one right here will take pictures. If you tap it, hold it for video, and this right here, your return to home button. Now I did activate it. It does work, but you know, like I said, I was having some issues with it kind of dancing on me. Not something I would rely on unless you absolutely had to. All right, so let's take a look at some of the pictures and videos coming out of this drone.
All right, so this is what the video looks like coming out of the drone. You see kind of those pauses, those glitches, those stops in the video. That's because it's recording the transmission on my phone, right? So if there's ever kind of like a lost packet or just any transmission that isn't super connected, you kind of get that loss. Now, you're going to see here as I raise my altitude, that does help. It just kind of gives a better line of sight to the drone, so that signal transfers a little bit better. But I'm not sold on really any drone that records this way. What you really want is a drone that's recording to an SD card, so that if you had any of these glitches, while you may experience them on your phone, you may see them. If it's recording on an SD card, then you won't get that in the video when you take a look at it. Now, when you take pictures, that's not an issue, right? You can kind of line it up. And I do think the gimbal does a decent job of kind of smoothing the footage out, but it's not, again, it's not super smooth, right? This thing is going to get pushed around in the wind a little bit. Now you can adjust the gimbal up and down, which is also a nice feature, but you know, it's not super smooth. So this isn't, you know, an aerial photography machine. You're not going to take this and go on real estate shoots or shoot weddings or anything like that. But it is a decent tool to kind of learn how to fly, to set up some shots. You can see some artifacting in the corners as the sun kind of bounces off the propellers. So, you know, this is the quality of footage that you're going to get. And again, the big limitation here is because of that recording to the phone, right? It is HD, 720 HD, but a decent picture. Sadly disappointing that it's not recording on an SD card. All right, so I took a couple of pictures so you can just kind of see, you know, that shed down there looks a little distorted. This one, okay, right? They say 4K photos, but really, come on. All right, so this is a look inside the app. You can see it does have some nice little features. We've got a return to home, that little H button on the left. You can also access that on the controller itself, which is nice. Upper left-hand corner, there's a follow me. You can kind of fly it from your phone if you wanted to. I don't recommend it. There's a little orbit, you know, gesture control, which is, you know, in my mind kind of gimmicky. But you can just kind of see the transmission super laggy as you're flying. Not a big fan. Now, I wasn't able to get it to stabilize after a compass calibration and I think 12 satellites. It was pretty stable, but only facing east. So I don't get that. It still kind of rotated as if I turned it west or north. I still kind of got that little jitter. I don't get it.
So yeah, when it comes down to it, there are some things that are actually really nice about this drone. I like the size, I like the portability, I like the brushless motors, I like that it has a 3-axis gimbal. Really the deal breaker for me is that you can't save things on an SD card. Having to save to my phone, it just isn't good enough for me. And I know that it's only $150 and there aren't a whole lot of options at $150. Again, I'd suggest you spend another $50 and go with the Flyhall FX1. Actually, right now the Flyhall FX1 is on sale for about the same price. You'll probably want to go that route. Anyway, it's your money. You decide which drones you want to buy. Hopefully this information was helpful in deciding whether or not the X2 Pro 3 is for you. Make sure you check us out on Half Chrome, and we give things away to our Patreons. Link down below if you're interested in being one of those. Hey, good luck everyone, and happy flying.